Welcome to Sharing My Truth with Mel and Susie, the uncensored version, where we bear it all.
We do.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sharing My Truth pod. You're here with Little Mel and Suze, and we're super excited for you to be here today with us. We have a fun little write-in, but we don't want you to forget to write your own stuff into us, and you can go to do that at sharingmytruth.com. You can leave us a voicemail. You can send us an email. You could even send us snail mail, but please don't, because probably won't get it for like a year if we all know Canada Post. But you can also send us in our DMs at Sharing My Truth Pod on all of our socials. Go to our YouTube. You can actually see us there. What do we look like? We're maybe super ugly. I don't know. Hey, babe.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. Do you like that?
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm. It's all fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say that even if it isn't.
I know. I've seen you not fabulous. And you're like, I'm fabulous.
Keep calm and carry on. You know,
Crying on the
big
inside.
good Brit.
It's fine. As long as you look stoic and just got a thought. You
Crumbling
know?
inside, but that's fine.
Well, it feels great. It feels great to just not show anyone what you're really feeling. It feels fabulous.
I'm an expert.
Oh, good. And she has never seen a therapist.
No, I haven't.
So we have a sweet little write-in.
We do.
Someone wrote it into us. And we thank you guys for that. And we want to remind you that you guys can do that. We absolutely love hearing from you. And this one, we both have read through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that that very much interests me. And I feel like you probably have friends who've dealt with it.
Yeah.
But please, Mel, you're going to read it for us.
I am. I'm going to read this, and I am going to caveat anything we say after this. We're not giving any advice or anything. We're just, this is somebody who's written in, and we're saying our opinion.
Yes.
But that's it. You know,
Yeah,
so
there's no facts to this.
Yeah, don't get all excited.
We're not facting around, okay?
Yeah. So this is actually a woman who's written into us, and she said that over 15 years ago, she had an affair for 2 years with a family friend.
Yeah.
Right? So they stopped all contact when the guy moved away with his family, and they promised each other not to ever tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, recently this man died. He passed away.
God, yeah.
And the woman received what she described as a furious and threatening letter from his wife, the widow. The wife has known about them for years. That's what she says in the letter. And she says that she's going to contact my husband. So the woman has written the husband, who is not aware that they had an affair 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's written into us because she said it would destroy my marriage if my husband found out.
Sure.
So what do? Do I contact this woman, this wife, this, bereaved
Widow.
woman?
Yeah.
Or do I just hope it all kind of goes away?
Yeah.
And it's a very good question. And we do seem to get an awful lot of questions about affairs and cheating. And
because I'm just going to say it, almost everyone cheats.
Yeah, except for
or
me.
has had. Yeah, except for Mel. And Mel's husband. But yeah, like it's such a common thing because people have needs and people have wants. And sometimes doing things in the moment feels a lot better than actually going to therapy and talking about it with
100%.
someone. And I understand that 100% because sex is a part of a lot of people's lives and a lot of us aren't getting enough of it.
Oh, 100%. And I think the other thing we don't understand, and particularly women, is a lack of intimacy, sex, wherever you want to sort of that line is, can cause so many issues in your life that you don't realize are connected to that. Not just, everyone says, oh, frustrated woman or whatever, but I mean, like so many issues, the way you feel about yourself, your energy levels, the way you treat your partner, the way you treat your family, can all go back to this thing, this sort of are you essentially sexually frustrated? Do you get enough intimacy, enough touch and, sensuality and whatever in your life? And it can cause so many issues. So I do, although, you've heard me saying I'm not a big fan of cheating, and I come from a family where,
Big fan.
my father was a serious serial cheater, and it affected my family massively. It was awful, and pretty much destroyed my mother, I would say. And so I that has left that imprint on me. But I obviously understand why this happens. This happens because people are unhappy. It happens because, like you say, they have needs. They could be going through something. If something's happened in your life, let's say a bereavement, and I'm not talking about this writing, something tragic's happened, or the stress, financial stress, whatever, sex or a little fling or whatever you want to call it, a tryst, it's escapism, isn't it? I mean, it's like, watching TV. Why do we all watch Bridgerton? We're sort of escaping into another world that that's not anywhere got anything to do with our world.
And we're watching these weird people in Bridgerton having sex. And it's why are we not of course we're doing that. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
So it could have happened. So, I mean, this is the question. This happened 15 years ago, and we don't know because this woman hasn't said to us, but we assume her marriage is fine and going well and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And to go,
if she's so worried that it's going to ruin her marriage, then
everything must be fine.
Everything must be totally okay. And I can understand that, because it's an affair doesn't have to mean a ruined relationship. It can just mean that you've had this experience with someone else. And if you weren't pregnant from it, or you didn't get a disease from it, or anything like that, it can just be kept a secret between you and that other person. And you might feel that guilt on yourself, but you don't have to bring it to that other person.
To transfer it, you mean?
You do not have to transfer that guilt and judgment that you have on yourself to your partner if you feel like it's only going to hurt them and ruin your life. And I don't know if she has kids. I don't know if she said she
didn't
does.
say.
But and ruin their lives. It's just for what, in my opinion.
Look, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do agree with that. I do think that there's lots of different things going on here. I do think there are different kinds of cheating and affairs, if you like. Like if you had a moment in your life and it sounds like this might be the thing, maybe this is what she needed. She had this connection with this person. It lasted a fairly long time. She said 2 years, and she's not been a sort of serial cheater after that. So there's not that issue of kind of constant betrayal. Then, I think that's a different thing from somebody who's endlessly shagging everything that moves and is not being very nice to their partner. And I'd also like to say that that's men and women.
Yeah.
And I think the issue for me, the issue is always about lying.
Yeah.
Right? She's basically lied for 15 years. Now, I understand what happens is you live your life and the person doesn't find out and you're happy and you carry on and you sort of put it in a drawer. You file it away. And if this person moved away, which is what she said, they moved away, the family, there's no chance you're going to interact. You put it in a drawer, you file it away. And if she carried on and her relationship was fine, then I understand why that happens. And the issue really here, I think, is you obviously want to preserve your marriage. You do not want to hurt this man, your husband, and he will be hurt. Because I think the thing that he'll be most hurt by is the lying. You've basically lied to him for 15 years. Is the betrayal is one thing of having, and an affair for 2 years is not a bit of a, roll around in the hay, as we like to call it in England.
Yeah, you're right.
This is an emotional connection, and that's where betrayal is much more intense. Like you've actually connected with somebody on a different level. And I'm not saying that's love or whatever, but 2 years is a bloody long time. And you lied for 2 years and then for the next however many years. So the problem here is, what do you do about this woman, this wife, this widow who's threatening? Now that is threatening behavior. That is not something that's
threatening
blackmail.
to ruin your goddamn life because obviously she's feeling extremely hurt and distraught. She just lost her husband, possibly. She doesn't. We're not talking to the widow, but we're assuming it was the love of her life. But did she say that the widow knew before?
Yeah, she knew.
Yeah, so that's really hard to not be able to. Maybe she wasn't able to ever confront her husband about it.
Well, maybe he told her. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem here, is to sort of unravel this. And obviously, we're trying to help the person who's written into us. Is that the woman, the widow, is, and I think we say this as two women sitting here, is going to be completely illogical, filled with rage and guilt, and not guilt, sorry, rage and grief.
Yeah.
And those are not logical things. And you are just going to be spiraling. And anybody who literally can take the brunt of that, and you want to fucking target that at them, and that is this woman, although it isn't logical because her husband has passed, so really, what's the point? And that's very easy for us to say, but she has grief and rage and anger and whatever. And she needs to send that somewhere, and that's this woman. The fairy, the mistress, right?
Your fairy.
Yeah, the mistress. And so what the hell does this woman do? Because she says it's a family friend, so she could just turn up on a doorstep. Now, and then threatening to tell the husband.
Here's the thing, right? Like, are they going to go to the funeral?
Well, yeah, she doesn't say that. Don't know.
She doesn't say that. I mean, obviously, I bet she is also upset that this family friend has passed. If you had this kind of emotional affair with him as well, right? Like, so she's obviously feeling some kind of a grief, which she also can't speak to her husband about.
Right.
And she's probably feeling a little bit lost and like, okay, well, how do I, and obviously she says she's over the affair. So that's fine. Like, okay, I totally get that.
Many years have passed.
You don't have to be in love with him to feel some kind of other kind of love for him, right? Like, but yeah, this must be really confusing for our listener. Like, it's just a really hard thing to kind of want to be there for maybe this woman who lost her husband and your friend. But like, how do you have to kind of also be a little selfish and not want her to ruin your life.
Well, 100%. I think, I mean, you got one of three choices. You do like hope it blows over because they live somewhere else. The second thing is you talk to your husband. Obviously, there are two choices there. You lie or you don't lie. And the third thing is you approach this woman and try and have a sort of conversation with her that, well, one thing is you could deny it because you've already been lying. So you could say it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or the other option is to say, look, this happened a very long time ago. I really am very sorry. I didn't mean to cause you any pain. I'm deeply sorry.
Yeah.
But please don't ruin my life. However, I think that's pretty risky because as a woman, I know what women are like. You think you're going in there with this reasonable kind of logical, like, let's talk about this. And if that other woman is in this space of rage, grief, all these things, huge emotions, swinging pendulum, she's going to like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You tell me, of course you're going to say that. The other thing I would like to say, and this is interesting from my point of view, from my age point of view, is 15 years ago, of course, you didn't have the iPhone issue.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any footage.
Real proof.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not like today, like literally.
Everything's everywhere.
Yeah. And why anybody does anything without fear is a mystery to me.
People like the fear. That's why they do it.
I think that's obviously tantalizing, isn't it? But, you don't know. Maybe they wrote love letters to each other. Maybe there is a photo of something.
Yeah,
maybe
Polaroids.
Exactly. Maybe her husband admitted something. Maybe they had a discussion. You just don't know. And that would be my fear if you sort of went down the road of, okay, I've been lying this long. I'm just going to I'm going to take the lie so it protects my husband. Essentially, that line of thought. And you just kind of lie because you don't know what this woman has on. You don't know. And this is a kind of unpleasant, slightly blackmail-y situation. I mean, I do understand this is blackmail, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I just don't think as a daughter of a lawyer, you don't want to write her any kind of a letter of any sort. No. I don't even know if you want to get on the phone with her because she could record it. Like, I'm just trying to think of these
100%.
things that she could do to turn it against you and to show your husband. Like, I don't think you want to engage in any sort of way. If anything, you write her a text or whatever, an email, and being like, hi, I got your letter. I'm so sorry to hear about John. I'd love to see you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see you. And then you also have a little bit of time. You're not admitting to anything, right?
Yeah.
You're not admitting to anything, but you have some time to kind of be like, hey, if I do meet with this woman, what am I going to say? And then you might change your mind in the moment too.
100%. I mean, I did think of that, and I thought, well, yeah, but it sort of then opens a dialogue, and and then I think
I
the
think
issue
you're going to
here,
regret it though if you don't see her.
yeah, I mean, I think, do you go and sort of somehow approach her first and then talk to your husband? Because that would be my worry, is that at this point the lies are the lies.
Mhm.
But if your husband inadvertently finds out because you haven't spoken to him first, then
Your
it
husband's
could
not
be...
going to find out. Your husband's not going to find out. He's not a
Mm.
woman.
No, but what I mean is, what if this is a family friend and she's
you think
threatening
she's
to
gonna-
write?
yeah.
You just don't know how she's going to get to
You
him.
can tell her she's fucking crazy. You can tell him she's fucking crazy.
Well, that had also
She's
occurred to me.
agreed-
she could deny.
She's crazy.
She could deny-
But she's been denying this whole
but
time.
I mean, that is the thing. Do you just deny this to preserve your relation? And
Yeah.
I would like to say, because people have been coming at me on YouTube, is that I'm not suggesting that that's a good thing. I mean, you know what I would say: don't have the bloody affair in the first place.
yeah, but
But
we're
this
not all
is-
perfect
but-
like you, Mel.
Thank you, Susie. But this has happened now, and that really is a pointless thing for me to say. This has happened. She is, all these many years later, she has a happy marriage.
She's been with
She
the guy
has
for
a
15
husband,
years.
and at the end of the day, you do not want to cause him pain. This is
No.
going to destroy him.
So deny.
So there is one, yeah, I mean, it's carry on with the lie. But so, and I don't have an answer, because I think this is
Of course
very,
we don't
very
have an answer.
difficult.
This is we
But
don't
I
have all the
think
facts.
there are only, exactly, thank you, Susie. There are only certain routes you can go down, but I think you have to be very careful, because your husband could hear through this woman. You don't know. Maybe this woman's going to start talking to other people. I mean, you just don't know.
You don't know.
If she's a little bit unhinged because she's not in a great place, you just don't know. So, do you sort of start some kind of conversation with your husband and say, look, so-and-so's contacted me. She's really kind of upset a lot. Like, kind of open that conversation, not necessarily talk specifically about the affair, and just so he knows you've had contact, so it wouldn't be like, oh my God, you were lying that you'd had contact, kind of thing. I guess that's one way of dealing with it. I think you really have to come to terms with, do you just carry on lying?
Mhm.
Or do you fess up? Do you tell?
It's so interesting
truth.
to me that you keep on being like, you're lying, even though she hasn't thought about it. Is it lying
No.
even though she doesn't say anything?
No, okay, yeah, okay, so fair enough. I should explain really more what I mean. I agree. I think that if something happens a long time ago,
Yeah.
like I said, and in this case, because they moved far away from each other, they're sort of away, they closed the door. They truly
Mhm.
closed the door, and she put the whole
I know.
thing
In
and
her
the
little back
feelings
pocket.
in
she's-
her little
Yeah.
drawer in her mind, or wherever it is, and then was able to carry on with her life.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing you're also underestimating. So sorry, I'm not going to jump forward. So why is she lying? Well, she's lying because she spent 2 years with this man and she was married.
I
That
mean,
is
she
a
was
lie.
definitely lying then.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you don't, I'm sorry, but if you don't tell your husband, this is an untruth, this is cheating, this is lying.
Yeah.
You didn't tell him. So the fact that you haven't talked about it or done it for the last 15 years
Yeah.
or 13 years or whatever the time is, doesn't make any difference. It's
But
still
not-
a continuing lie.
Yeah.
It's
but,
not an active lie.
Yeah.
It's just you're living a lie, right?
Yeah,
You are.
but like you're not telling your husband or your partner everything isn't lying to them. It's just not telling them everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, the Susie perspective. So I would
And obviously
say,
there's no right answer, but I'm just
I think all husbands and wives. All husbands and wives don't tell the full truth.
Yes,
like,
of course.
But not like in my case. It's nothing to do with cheating. It's like, I may not be completely specific about what store I've just been to. I may choose the time when I'm going to mention
Mhm.
something.
Yes, we should be smart in our
I'm
relationship.
very smart, and my husband is fully aware of this.
and
but
he's very smart with his thing.
he totally does it to me. So
course.
I know when to approach him about things, or when he's a bit tetchy,
Mhm.
and he knows when don't talk to me about these things.
Mhm.
So that's it's not lying, it's managing people.
Absolutely.
Cheating is a whole different realm.
Trust me, I'm not saying that like
And I
this is
know-
like a
And
good.
I know lots of people do it. And that's why I think this writing is really interesting. And I would like to say that I really am trying my very best to not come from a place of judgment. Although cheating, and that's why I said at the beginning, has impacted my life. Not me personally, but impacted my childhood greatly.
Well, you personally,
so I
for
have
sure.
a very specific idea of it and what it does to people. But I'm obviously a human being. I understand why people
But
do
that's
it.
also because he brought it into your life. Talking about your
100%.
father, right?
100%.
Like this woman is trying to not do that.
100%.
She's trying to save these little
100%.
pieces that she still has
100%.
left. So
But I
how
think
does she do that?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have these situations
Yeah.
where something may have happened a very long time ago, whether it's a drunken night out
Yeah, baby.
or it's a long affair like this, and then they just got on with their life and they seem to be fine. I mean, the thing that we don't know, because we don't know this piece of information, is did the husband, if this was a family friend, actually suspect that there were feelings and just thought, oh no, it's me imagining it or whatever? Did he suspect around that time that something was going on and thought, oh no, and there was no proof and they just moved on? Was she behaving differently in a sexual way or in an intimate way or an emotional way to her husband? Did he suspect? Was he having an affair?
Exactly.
I mean, you just don't know.
We don't know these facts.
So it's so difficult.
I know. So, I mean, for her just dealing with this other woman who's obviously and rightfully upset, I think you have to just deal with it very carefully and not admit to anything, because you could put yourself in a very dangerous situation with your own life. And
Yeah.
it's not worth it doesn't sound like it is worth ruining your life for. So do not admit to anything before you kind of are able to hopefully calm her down and have a real life adult conversation with this woman face
Yeah.
to face, because you can't do it over the phone, you can't do it over email, do not do it over text, do not have any proof that this is a thing.
But I would like to also say, if let's say you met her in a public place, you went for coffee or whatever, also be really careful. People record conversations all the time.
No, you're right.
And
So do you just deny? Mel, liar, pants on fire.
it's very, very difficult. I really don't want to say one thing or the other because I don't know. And
Yeah.
I'm not a professional.
No, of course not.
But all I would say is I think you go down one route or the other, and you've got to accept there may be consequences that are good or bad.
Absolutely.
So if you deny, we're not going to say lie, we're going to call it deny.
Deny. Love it.
You have to accept the fact somebody could bloody find out, or there's some proof, or there's something, and that is going to completely blow up in your face if that's the case, and it's going to be 1,000 times worse.
You're right.
If you tell the truth, this could destroy your marriage, this could really hurt this man, etc., etc. But you've told the truth. But as you say, and I am understanding this, I still don't necessarily think this is a place where I am totally comfortable with, but is telling the truth just to relieve your guilt
Exactly.
rather than make the situation better? And I think a lot of the time people do admit to things because it makes them feel better,
Uh-huh.
but it hurts the other person.
Yeah. But
And
is
it's
this
pointless.
like, I mean, obviously we don't know the relationship that she has with her husband, but maybe if she were to tell her husband, being like, hey, I have something I want to tell you, and it was 15 years ago, and just like, I want to be honest with you because I love you, and like coming from that place and being like, I mean, honestly, I have no idea. I have never been in a relationship for 15 years. I have no idea what that's like, and we don't know what their relationship is like, but maybe is coming clean about it going to help the relationship too? And then,
Well, it might do.
right, you just never know, right?
It might do. I mean, the thing that the place I always come from is lies like built on lies
and
and
denies
lies.
and
Yeah, they just eventually something
Yeah.
happens. And that's the problem, is you don't know Why does this woman know?
Mm.
Why does she know?
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody else know?
Yeah.
And, it is nobody's business. And I have to say to you, I'm really sorry that this has happened, because I think this is an awful situation,
Mm-hmm.
because you kind of moved on, although you, in my opinion, didn't do something great, in your marriage, but you're a human being. You haven't, committed some horrible crime. But you did something that you're not supposed to do in marriage, which is have an affair. And this woman is not thinking with a rational mind. She's hurt. She's in pain. She's feeling grief. And that's not a rational person. So that would be my other problem, is if you contact her,
Mm-hmm.
it could get even worse.
I know.
Because, she may be like, you're the source of you bitch, and you're the source of all these. I mean, you just don't know where that's going to go. But then this idea of it blowing over, not so sure that this is going to blow over. That's my...
That's why I'm like, I don't also, it's scary to think that this woman's always possibly going to come for you.
100%.
And so if you think it's going to blow over and it just never does, and then you always have this woman on your back, you either have to meet her or tell your husband. And those are the only two options.
They're the only two options.
Those are the only two options.
They're the only two options. And, do you say something to your husband along the lines of, this woman's don't tell him that you're meeting her, but just that this woman's contacted you and she's a bit, unhinged kind of thing, so that he's aware of it in case she comes to him in between, you sort of go to her. Because my fear is that this person has said to us that it's a family friend. So you're all connected in this weird way. And who, we know what families are like. People talk behind backs. They say things. They, things often in families or friends or close friends in this can be mega blown over. And then you find out that, oh my God, so-and-so knew, or you just don't know, do you?
No.
And that is a huge problem. But the other thing I would like to say, and I said this before, is I think there's a lot of people in this situation.
Yeah.
A lot. And like I said, I try and not be judgmental, because I get it. You're human and shit happens and emotions take over and feelings of, passion and lust and whatever, which is not logical in itself and generally happens because you're not in a good place. If you're married and you have an affair,
escape something.
100%.
It's usually about escape and trying to figure out something deeper than what is actually going on the surface.
And it's not, as odd as it sounds, it's not always about sex. Obviously, the sex helps you escape.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of the time, people are having affairs because that is not happening in their own relationship. But sometimes it's actually not about that.
Yeah.
It's about the sex, like Bridgerton, is the escape. So you could be having sex with a husband, having sex with this other person, but just that it's a different type of sex, or it's a sex in a different way, or a more passionate way, or a more illicit way, or whatever. And that in itself is the escape.
Yeah.
If, you understand what I'm saying. And I just think, this could just become a disastrous situation.
I know. Or it could be completely fine. And this woman can just kind of, obviously, like, grief, who has ever been through it, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really hard to get over, especially if you're mad at someone.
Yeah.
It's just awful. So she might be able to kind of talk herself out of it anyways. Because that's what happened. You go through the stages of grief, and it sounds like she's in the anger stage.
Yeah.
And so she may just calm down on her own. But I do think this is a really great opportunity for you, our listener, to, think deep within yourself and be like, okay, has this come up for a reason?
Mm-hmm.
And do I want to deal with it now and be able to kind of get my clarity through it too? Because you're a much different person than you were 15 years ago. A much different person.
That's actually a very, very good point. You make a very good point.
Thank you, Mel.
It's an excellent point. Because often, people say things happen for a reason, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a very good point. Have you actually, ask yourself this question, listener, have you been thinking all these 15 years as the guilt simmered somewhere in there and done something to you or your relation or whatever that does some weird things to you, guilt, right?
Yeah.
Has it simmered away? And the fact that she's contacted you and this person has passed, which is making it all resurface, is it making you think, I just want to deal with this?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to, you know, either tell my husband the truth and just say, okay, this happened. I'm not proud of it. I still love you. I hope you can still love me. And he may say no. And I mean, if he does, you're going to have to just, I don't know how you prepare yourself, but it sounds to me, the likelihood is you're going to have to prepare yourself for something. You're going to have to either prepare yourself for carrying on the denial, which in itself is a thing to bear.
Yeah, of course.
Or you're going to have to prepare yourself for telling the truth, and that leads you down another path, and you hurt somebody, and you may destroy your life. And that's not an easy thing. But I think you make a very, very good point. Has this happened to kind of, it's like a crossroads where we've got to deal with this one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And have you actually, in some kind of weird way, been living all these years thinking, is this ever going to come up?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you were family friends and you're connected in some way, somehow this was going to come to the surface. It's very different. You sort of have an affair and somebody moves to Australia and you move to the UK and you never see each other and you're not connected. This is whatever the thing is about however many degrees of separation. It's a little bit close, isn't it? And she doesn't tell us where he lives and where she lives. But yeah, I mean, that you make a very, very good point.
I mean, we hope this listener just is able to find her solution if she hasn't already. And if you have found it and you want to tell us what happened, I'd love to hear that. But yeah, this is very difficult. Obviously, Mel and I do not have the answer.
No.
We wish we did, but I hope we gave you a little bit more clarity in talking about it. But if you guys have any sort of advice for this lovely listener, you guys can always, message us on our Instas, Share My Truth Pod. Go to our website, sharemytruth.com. Tell us what you guys think. We'd love to know. Or if you've been in this exact situation and what did you guys do?
And how hard it is. And I suppose the other thing I would say is if this listener, the other alternative is could you seek some professional
advice and not just us.
but just seek the opinion of a professional and not just because they're not going to be able to give you the answer and nobody can give the answer. The answer's got to come from within you and what you feel is the best way to deal with this. And then you've got to, I'm afraid, live with whatever that is. But I mean a professional to also help you deal with all those feelings, whatever they are.
Guilt, denial.
Exactly.
Trust issues, anything.
If everything blows up,
100%.
Somebody to really be there who knows what they're doing and seek some professional help. And I definitely think I've done that in the past. I think that's very positive thing to do.
Yeah.
And look, what I would like to say is thank you very much for sharing the story because it's hugely emotional. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
We are really, and Susie and I come at it from different points of view.
We're also
we're really not judging you. I think the whole point of this pod is we understand that people are human, sex is messy, emotions are messy, and it creates situations. And if we were all perfect, these things would never happen.
It's ridiculous being perfect. And hopefully your husband, if you do try to tell him how you're feeling, he will feel the same about you and he will feel empathy. And maybe he's also had an affair and you guys can talk about it.
You never know.
You never know.
I mean, that's the crazy thing that I go back to if you're never telling the truth.
Yeah.
You never bloody know.
You never know because you don't, maybe, you've no idea, right?
It'd be what? No, I'm not going to say it. But,
what?
No, I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Because it's not, no. Anyway, I really wish you the best. I really do. Thank you for sharing. I wish you the best. I hope you choose the path that's right for you, not the path that's right for me, for Susie, or anybody else.
Or a therapist, or whoever.
Or
your husband, or this woman. What is good for you?
What is going to work out the best for
Babes.
You? Exactly.
Okay, love you guys. We can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts on this. And we shall see you on the other side.
We will. Toodles. Thanks so much for listening. Please rate and review this podcast and follow us on social at Sharing My Truth Pod and leave us a voicemail on our website, sharingmytruth.com, to share your stories and experiences with us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.